It was a decrease of 68 calls, which is 1.4% year over year. But
Okay.
June is very busy. So 408 calls. That is the most calls we've had in a month all year. So it's very busy.
Anything contribute to the 408? Is that COVID, you think, or is that just a proliferation of things?
I think it is COVID related, yes, without doubt. And with that being said, it's going to be more this month. The COVID calls this month has really picked up. So we've had more COVID calls this month than we've had, period.
So I wonder why it changed, because I think the last 2 months we were saying that because of COVID, they weren't calling the ambulance because they were scared to go to the hospital. And so the runs were down from last year. Why do you think?
Agreed. I think that now the respiratory problems that these people are having, they're calling before. I don't understand it. Before they were staying at home, and as I related last month, the month before, they were staying there, and a lot of them were dying at home. Now they're calling and we're transporting. And I'll go ahead and say this, the calls out of the nursing homes here in the county have increased with COVID. So that is a contributing factor as well.
Hey, Glenn, what about our turnaround time at the emergency room? Is that, it is horrible?
It's horrible. And you're fixing to hear that number and you're fixing to realize how bad it is. Let me go ahead and say it. For June, we were out of ambulances 26 times and we had 8 calls holding. That's the most we've had in the year.
And you contribute that to the turnaround time, I guess, there?
The turnaround time and the number of calls we've had this month, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. Anybody got any questions for Glenn on the run report?
This is Leggett. Glenn, if you think that we're going to have another bad month this month, do you have any suggestions of a short-term thing that we could do to ensure that we have more ambulances available, or you got any ideas?
I do, but I'd want to do some research and make sure, for whatever reason, the strange thing is our ambulances have been busy all night long. And when we drop down to 4 ambulances a night, it seems like we get real busy. Our ambulances have run all night long. So it may be, to the point right now with the COVID issue going on, we may want to look at increasing the time of the peak unit. Or let me look at it, and I will get with the mayor before the end of the week and have a suggestion.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Anybody have anything else for Glenn on our run reports? I tell you, Glenn, why don't you, instead of you and I going back and forth, why don't you just give us your full report and just keep on going down the agenda, I guess.
Okay. The next thing I have is the collections report. And, the collections in June were down somewhat. And that is because our billing office had some people out with COVID-19. We collected $107,716 in June. With that number, extrapolating August out, we should collect, unless it comes up somewhat, $1,696,000 for the year is what we're looking at. $1,696,000. We're budgeted $1,750,000.
So we're real close then.
We're close.
Yeah,
we're close.
Okay.
The aging report is exactly what we're going to look at. Current is 35%. 31 to 60 days is 17%, and it goes down until the older we're working on is 20%, which is greater than 180 days, and we're working on knocking that out and writing all that off.
Yeah.
So we're whittling it down. It's looking good.
Okay.
Our response times, there's nothing significant really to look at there. There's nothing that jumped out at me over the course of the month. Everybody's response time is about the same. With our units being held up at the hospital, our overall response times for the month has jumped up to 10 minutes and 21 seconds. So it's just over 10 minutes for everybody in June. 10 minutes and 21 seconds.
Yeah. Okay.
Something that I got with Charles today, and he did run for me, is our budget, our year-to-date budget. I told you what was coming in as far as revenue, as far as expenses, and we're going to have some adjustments to make. So these are not the final numbers. They will be tweaked, but it looks like we came in at 86.77% of expenses, so well under our expenses for the year. So we
Okay.
did well there.
I don't have that in my packet. Did that get?
It was not in there, Mr. Chairman. I got, and the reason it wasn't is these aren't precise, and Charles didn't put them in there, but I asked him to run this for my benefit, what it is right now. After we get finished making the budget adjustments, it'll be finalized.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Does anybody have anything else for Glenn? Questions about our reports? Was Tommy able to get back on, or is he?
Wait a second. Tommy can't get on, but I'm fixing to put him on speakerphone and have him call in.
Okay.
All right, Tommy? Yeah, I got you. Can y'all hear Tommy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tommy, they just went over the ambulance reports and where we are. Did you have any specific questions or anything that you saw?
No, not me.
Okay. All right.
All right. Glenn, do you have anything else for us?
I do not.
Okay. I assume we're going forward with that grant on the 2 ambulances, or
We are. Maddie is working on it as we speak. Yes.
okay. And it'll be awarded back in I guess the fall is when.
August or September. I guess it could be as late as, has it ever been October, Mayor? Do you recall?
It only just right after the first. The federal year starts October 1, so sometimes it'll come right after the first.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have anything else for Glenn? We'll cut him loose, or Glenn, you hang on, whatever.
The
I'm
only
sorry?
question,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, the only question I have, Glenn, how are the units holding up under this heat?
We've had one unit with AC trouble and just got it back from Jay. And so as far as I'm concerned, only one unit with that trouble. We've been doing excellent. Been doing very well.
Great,
Okay.
great. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Anything else? All right, Mr. Mayor, you have anything for us?
Just 2 things real quick. A little update on pet data. Still working. We're trying to get the landowner to give me something in writing. We've had a couple of conversations and waiting for something so I can get started on the survey and the contract, whatnot. Second thing, I've got some data. Last Friday, week ago Friday, the governor came out with his order 54 that you can have masks mandatory by county. What I've sent out today with the Falcon, I'm going to put it on Facebook just shortly. I want to let y'all know about it, is that we're going to do highly encourage right now. I've talked to almost everybody you can think of, everything from school officials to city mayors to Department of Health to local physicians. The consensus from the medical community in general was mandate not right now. There's some data in there that sort of This sort of backs this up, and I just want to show you what I'm looking at so that you can sort of see some of the stuff I'm looking at. On your screen is a graph of the COVID cases. Now, this is all for raw data that the states put out, and anybody can download it. You can play with the numbers any way you want to, but this is Fayette County cases. And you can see where the number of cases has spiked. We're up to about, I think it's 142 now. Just a second.
Now that's the active cases, is that correct?
That is active cases, not total. That's the number of folks who have it currently. Now, let me give a little bit more definition on that. An active case for the state of Tennessee is anybody who has been diagnosed and has lived for 21 days. Once you, after day 22, you come off this list. So you're basically cured. If you haven't passed away, you're cured. I do know several cases of folks who have been in the hospital longer than the 21 for complications for this. So that's a little bit of misnomer, but that's their rationale. These are new cases on a daily basis for us. So you can sort of see how this has bounced up and down over the last, well, since it started. Let me go down. There's one that I really want to show you that sort of makes all this sort of is pulled together. These are active cases and with the overlay of the per day tests. So you can see as the number of tests have gone on, there's one on here that says nearly 700 tests in one day. I think that's a fluke in the state data. It should be like 78 tests. But anyway, you can sort of see how the number of cases have, the number of tests that are done per day, and the cases have gone up. And these are the number of confirmed cases, which is not pretty much the same thing. But the data, the graph I want you to look at is this one. It's the positives over a 7-day average run. You can see the number of cases have gone up over the last 6 weeks or so. But between 4 and 6%, our positive rate has remained, which is a relatively narrow range considering the size of the county. So as we get more cases, at least currently, as we get more cases, that's a relationship to the number of tests we're doing. I'm keeping an eye out on this. If this spikes, if we go from 7, 8, 9, 10% where the number of cases, that in relation to the number of tests, that will show that we've got something we're going to have to do something more with. And there is a case to be made for having everybody wear a mask. And I don't want to lead you down the wrong path. The disease is in the community, but right now we're remaining in sort of I wouldn't say a narrow range, but a somewhat consistent range so that the number of tests, the increased number of tests we've had, which is substantial, as related to the number of cases per day we're having. So I don't think you can simply say there's 242 cases and that's all we've got out there. You've got to look at the trend line and sort of what it represents. And that's for the folks who've gone to be tested. So anyway, I wanted to bring you up to date on that because I know I've had several folks ask me about it, and it seems like all last week was just talking to folks one way or another. State Department of Health has not come down on doing anything. They don't have guidance on this.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I just want to caution on going any further with a mandate, because if you have a mandate, then you have to have a enforcement vehicle.
I understand.
And to determine whether it's be a civil penalty or criminal penalty and how that's going to be administered.
Well, and you know more about this than I do. The stick the governor put in his order was as a Class A misdemeanor. So as I understand it, the maximum penalty on that is $1129 or $2,500 fine. I would be extremely surprised if that was ever given, but I think anything you take in front of General Sessions Court, the order I had sort of looked at, and I've sent just a draft copy to city mayors for their comment, was to put it an individual. Now, this would currently, if it was ever instituted, the way I'm looking at it, would be to put it on the individual responsibility, but also the businesses would be tasked with allowing folks or not allowing folks in their business. The enforcement portion, I can tell you right now, is definitely a part of my concerns on this. I mean, I don't take that lightly either. There's a lot of moving parts on this. The benefit, and that's the reason I'm showing this positivity, there's got to be a large benefit, or somebody can show me if there's a large benefit to offset the problems it would bring on.
That's correct. I think you would bring on something that I don't think would be, I think would be worse than the problem we're trying to solve, potentially. The encouragement, strongly encourage, I think is the way to go, certainly is right now, as you described. And there's certainly a way to address it, maybe through the business community. But I just, as far as someone's, I wouldn't be inclined to be in favor of enforcement of such through civil or criminal penalty. I think when we really start treading on someone's civil rights, in my opinion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I don't think the governor can impose a law. I believe that would have to, he could do a mandate, but I don't think it would have any criminal penalties to it like a Class A misdemeanor, unless it goes through the legislature and is passed and is adopted into the TCA, Tennessee Code Annotated. I could be wrong on that, but before we got into that, that's something that the county attorney sure needs to check, because I think the governor can mandate things, but I don't think that it becomes law just because the governor said it. I could be wrong, but I'm going to leave that up to the legal experts.
I'm the same way. I'd ask those questions of folks who are up in the state end of it. They assured me the governor's lawyers have reviewed everything he's done. I've also asked the county attorney to give some opinion on it. And he said, based on what he's saying, it passes. That's not saying you won't go to court, or even somebody might even be successful, but based on what I'm seeing, those are all questions I've asked last week and trying to get some answers.
Thank you.
Mayor, I've got a question. In regards to the mandate side of it, if you choose to go that route, is that something that you choose to do on your own, or does the commission have a vote in whether or not that gets passed?
No, it's unfortunately is on my lap. Now, I would probably bring it to you for either something to support or some consultations or something like that, so let you know. But that's under my, for good or ill.
I pre-vote no.
I'd rather you do it, Mayor, so we can point fingers at you.
Either way,
Well,
but anyway, just
I've already
You're messing up.
talked to the mayor back here. I've already said something to the mayor.
Is it
Steve,
gone?
you breaking?
I am concerned about government over to walk slowly on this one. Can you hear me?
Steve, you're breaking up real bad. Mayor, I don't know if you put everybody else on mute, if it'll help or not.
I think Steve,
Can you hear me?
I think it's a little slack.
Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Was Tommy, what you laughing
I
about?
don't know what came out, but I just said, the mayor and I spoke last week, and I am going to encourage the mayor to walk gingerly on this one, because I am concerned about government overreach, and I know he will, but I'm just very concerned about it.
One other little caveat, let me throw that in here just so you can walk away with what I'm being told. The emergency room status in Shelby County, now I don't have the exact numbers, but most of the large portion of the emergency rooms, their emergency room urgent care rooms is being filled up by COVID patients. And they're making allowances on either opening up rooms inside the facility, or they're making transitions. I think they're making preparations for moving some COVID patients to the old commercial appeal building I think they bought on the off chance that they have to use it. But they're watching that closely. The calls I've been involved with, they're concerned, but they're not to the point where their hair's on fire yet, I guess is the best way to put it. They're managing it, and they seem to think they're going to get through this. And in Shelby County's metrics, almost everything I'm showing you on what I've shown you on ours are much worse, to the point that they do have problems much greater than ours.
One other thing, Mayor, since you have the power and ability to do a mandate, and of course we hope that you don't get there. Have you formulated a justifiable threshold?
Actually, no, and that was the first question I asked the Department of Health. You know, I wanted a bright line. I like numbers, so I can say when it gets to here, I do one, and when I get to there, I can take one off. And the comments that I got in general was, if I'd asked that question 2 months ago, they would have told me something, and then said a week later, I told you something different, and a week later from that, it had been something different, to the point now they don't even try. They said they're just going almost day to day, and they're trying to work this as best they can. They didn't have any really good guidance for them.
Okay. That's probably a good reason to stay away from the mandate.
Well, like I said, I like things on black and whites. I like them simple, so to speak, which is this is not a simple problem, but anyway, that you at least see my reasoning and the data I'm looking at.
Okay, has anybody got anything else for the mayor? Has anybody got anything else at all? Mayor, I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
No, sir. I believe I've given you everything you've asked for, and I think that's all we've got for this month.
Okay. All right. Everybody ready to go?
Yes.
So moved.
All right, guys. Y'all have a safe night.
I'll do. Take care.
See you, gentlemen.
Meeting adjourned.